What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 2300 Gear Jammer channel. It's together. Usually I say this at the end, but we're going to start that way. I thought about which way I wanted to do this video. Here's what I decided. Rather than try to walk everybody through with the camera and get this thing ready to go to the track or dyno, whatever, I decided to just get it ready and then explain it, and I got some other stuff we can talk about anyway. So, if you haven't seen it, I posted a poll whether we wanted to go to the track or the dyno. I put car show on there, just nobody's picked it yet, but I've got some hope for that one. Right now, it started out headed towards the track, and then the people voting for going to the dyno sort of took off. So we're going to treat this video like we're going to the dyno, and that's going to make it pretty fun. So here's my thought. I'll tell you the setup of the car, and we're going to put in the comments in just a minute. I'll give you the quick rundown. Closest one to guess the horsepower in this video, it's got to be in this video, and I'm going to screenshot it before I post the next video. So everybody that leaves a comment for their guess on the horsepower, closest one wins. Hopefully it's not a tiebreaker situation. I hadn't thought about that. Shoot. All right, let's go through the stuff that I do to get this thing ready, and then we'll come back to the dyno guesses and all the fun. So I did a video just like this for the Ranger. This car's a little bit more involved, so we're just gonna start and hit all the main things, and I'll try to cover what I can. There's a few things that are different between going to the track or going to the dyno. It's basically the same. For the purpose of this one, I've just treated it like we're going to the track. So if you're unaware of how a dyno works, you strap the car to a huge set of rollers of some kind. There's a few different styles, but and you run the engine up and you turn the wheels, turn the transmission, and at no point do you make a track pass. And that's it. That's it. There's no track passes, so it's not a whole lot of fun, and I don't get much out of it, but it's fun to guess. So anyway, back to the other stuff. All right, brakes, wheels, and tires, probably the only thing that really matters on these cars. I air the tires up too much. The front, I run all about the same pressure, but the main differences with these are the lug nuts that have an open lug nut and then a longer wheel stud. Tech wants to see that you got a long wheel stud, so that's the main thing on the front. And these are all mixed match because that's pretty much everything I've got. Same thing on the back. These studs don't quite stick out enough. They want to see one thread sticking out. These lug nuts are a little bit longer, so that's okay. This is a 281050 ET drag. The tires have a screw that holds them onto the wheel. If you don't have that, the tires will actually spin off the rim. It gets a little wild when that happens. But I did get the interior back in it. Yeah. All right, steering, brakes, wheels, and tires, all that stuff's pretty basic. The tube K member that's in this was a display model at a show that I went to. They said it didn't pass their QC check, so that ended up on this car. The front is just stock 5.0, like GT brakes for a Fox body. The rear is just tow package drum brakes for an Explorer, and it's been about 150, and it stops, so it's all right. Steering, pretty basic. It's a Flaming River manual steering rack and steering shaft that goes with that. Forever, though, that's new. I didn't have money for anything else at the time, so for years, probably 15, I had a power steering rack that I just had blocked off, so it worked. I never had any issues with it. It's a little better this way. The power steering rack, after about 10 years of use, it had some tight spots in it, so that's okay. The rear is really basic bolt-on suspension. The upper suspension's a little bit different. I'm not gonna get into that for this video. We'll worry about that when it's time to go to the track. But the rear suspension does have airbags in each spring. I run a factory, like the original 4-cylinder rear springs that came on this car, that's what I run. And I just have an airbag and I adjust launch from there. It works shockingly well, so keep it simple. The rear end is really a basic Ford 8.8. Mosier spool, 430 gears, and that girdle is actually something new. I did that for drag week. Up to this point, I've always run just a stock diff cover. I may actually switch it back because I like keeping things as simple as I can. See if we can get in there. All right, that's the original spring that came in this car with the airbag. You can see it's pretty good. It doesn't have any adjustability. The rear shocks are adjustable, but I've never touched them. I just set them at 50-50 and move on. And this rear suspension works shockingly well. I know. So I said in the past, this car's got two fuel systems. I run 87 octane for all the driving around, loading it in the trailer. Anything I want to do is on 87. And then when I get to wherever I'm going, the track or whatever, I will just do 2 quick disconnects and I'll switch it to Q16. It's VP racing fuel. I just picked up 10 gallons the other day, and it was $262. So if you don't see me running this car a whole lot, that would be why. But I run 87 for everything else, and that really cuts down on how much fuel I use. 10 gallons will go a pretty good while, so we'll use that for now. At the moment, it's on Q16, so all the running around, I'm just trying to burn out some of that old fuel, and the dyno will be good for that anyway, so that'll be just fine. Mosquito. All right, engine stuff, we'll just start at the front. The radiator that's in it now is just a normal drop-in Fox body one. It's way bigger than the one I was running before. The old one's actually going into Pinto, so it's bigger, but it doesn't really cool any better. This thing's always had pretty good cooling. And for, I don't know, like 6 years, the other radiator was zip tied in. It started as a joke, and then I took it all the way to the 9s with a zip tied radiator just because. Other than that, probably, for me anyway, the most important thing is intercooler couplings. You can tell if I was talking when I was working on this thing, whenever the last time was, because I will talk and leave one loose. Guarantee it. I have done it at least a dozen times over the years, usually when it's something important too, so that's all right. On this side, this is the oil catch can out of the valve cover. I'm gonna zip tie a rag on that to help close off some of that, keep any blow by in the can. And it's got a drain on it. I'll drain that every time. We'll see how this engine does. When you start turning boost up on my stuff, you have a little oil come out, so I check that pretty often. And I do run a turbo blanket pretty much all the time, especially at the dyno because we're not moving enough air over it. And carbon fiber hood will get super soft. So ignition stuff's pretty squared away. It's not a whole lot I can do with that. The car's got nitrous on it. I'm not going to spray it on the dyno. That's one of the things we'll cover here in a second. And it's like everything else. You're just checking for leaks. Make sure all the fluids are where they're supposed to be. So we got water, oil, transmission fluid, and I had the axles out in the last video, so I topped off the rear end fluid. So good to go there. Everything else, pretty good to go. Just nuts and bolts. Check everything on the engine. These things rattle really bad. It's, you know, 4 cylinders will. And I run a solid engine mount, so that makes it way, way worse. I've added some isolators in it just to help cushion some of that. It still rattles, stuff still comes loose. So with this, I'll get it out, I'll run it around, I'll load it in the trailer, and I may kind of check everything again. One dyno pull, I'll probably check everything again. With this big of a cooling system, it doesn't take long to cool everything off, so it's pretty easy to work on. Here's one. So for some reason, I have a bad habit of when I'm leaving the track, I will put the car in the trailer, and then for some reason the hood pins end up in my pants, which is my race pants. And at least twice, I've run around in panic trying to find the hood pins, and they were just in the pants. So if I'd have just kept going, switched pants, put my fire suit on, I would have had the hood pins. I think I did that twice. Anyway, so stuff like that. Same deal. I always end up talking to somebody, and then I just skip one teeny tiny step like hood pins, something important. Let's go, we'll do inside the car stuff real quick. All right, so pretty much everything that you would see in a normal interior is in here. The only thing is all the dash is in it. All the gauges are in it, everything's in it. Most of that stuff kind of sort of works, what's left of it. I don't like any kind of gauges over here. Mechanical gauge and the tach sits up high. I don't look at any of that. I'll put the shift light right in front of me. I don't look at that either. I just drive the car. And this shifter is actually up and back. So instead of an H pattern shifter that first gear is left and forward, and you come straight back for second and then over and up for third, that's first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear, just like that. So the thing is, there's some shifter stops that have to be adjusted. Every time the shifter comes out or is unbolted from the transmission, you have to do shifter stops. So that really, really takes a minute. The way this stuff sits in the car, it's kind of hard to do. All right, we talked about the clutch setup in the last video. I talked about air gap and how much free play I have in the pedal and getting the pedal stop right. It's super important, but I forgot maybe the most important thing in this whole car. I would have skipped it if I were just trying to explain the clutch setup, but because I went back and I did everything on my own without a camera, it was easy. So this clutch pedal And if you ever see me at the track and I'm not sitting and staging or something, if I'm at my trailer or the car show that nobody voted for, I will let you push the clutch in this car. It's bonkers how easy it pushes. You can literally push the clutch with one finger. But the downside of that easy pedal is this. This is the clutch quadrant. The one that's in the car has got 3 different hooks instead of just the one. And the cable, because the clutch pushes so easy and you got to have a little bit of slack, when you dump the clutch, the cable will actually pop off. So the black car's got zip ties that just hold the cable. They don't do anything other than keep the cable from popping off if there's just enough slack to get it to come back. So I see a lot of people miss that one, and it's really easy to tell. Either it'll happen when you come out of the burnout box, you push the clutch in, let go of the clutch, and then there's nothing. Or you launch the car, and then you go to hit second gear, and there's nobody home. So that's a pretty big issue. And that's one most people miss. What else? Tools. So, oh gosh, about forgot that. Ignition timing. Probably the only thing on the engine that matters. Your fuel can be in the ballpark. You really got to be pretty dialed in on the ignition timing. Really, the only way to do that's the dyno. The computer that's in this comes with a starter file. It gets you pretty close. But I changed the fuel, so you change the timing to match the fuel. And that kind of stuff does matter. I always check the ignition timing, but when we go to the track, the first 3 passes are going to absolutely be throwaway passes anyway. You'll be able to tell. So cam timing, so-so. Ignition timing, absolutely critical. You'll either be killing parts or it's going to nose over. My little group, we call it the wheelie bog. Front end comes up and then it slams on the ground because the thing ran out of power. It'll pull the engine down so low that it can't keep moving itself. So that's pretty important. Outside of that, I have the gas-powered air compressor that I use so much here. That's in the trailer. And the main thing that I need that for is air tools when I break something and then keeping air in everything. It's pretty wild. The rear tires, really important, but the airbags are really, really important. So I can get away with 3 or 4 PSI swing, maybe 5 PSI swing in the rear tires. But the rear airbag, maybe 2 PSI is the most. That will not change. There's a number that I've got that I'm gonna set it at that, and the car is going down the track with that. Otherwise, it gets wild. Bad things happen. Tires rub against the inner fenders, big wheelies, and all kinds of bad things happen. So tools, I'm gonna leave that part to you. But if you notice, I work out of just a crappy little toolbox that I can fold up and take with me just in case I don't have a big toolbox or anything. I keep everything very simple and makes it where you can travel pretty easy with it. I think that pretty much gets it. Here's one more. So these work, by the way. I learned from doing Hot Rod Drag Week that I can run windshield wipers through the 1/8 mile, but not through the quarter. In the quarter, they'll start coming up the windshield and it gets a little distracting. So they'll start going da-da-da-da-da, and the windshield wipers are right in your face, but it's all right. So they'll probably be fine on the dyno where nothing happens and there's no fun and no excitement. When I go to the track, I'll pull the wipers off, but they do work. Horn works, all the lights work. Street car. All right, I think we pretty much got it. So let's get to the super important part. Really, I don't even care what kind of power it makes. I just like to be able to guess and get it right. So here's what I'm going to do. I haven't even driven this thing, so I don't know what kind of boost it's going to be on. It's going to be on the wastegate, okay? There's not going to be any boost controller. It's going to be the lowest possible amount of boost, but I've got some springs stacked up in there now. I don't know exactly what it's going to be. I am going to drive the car when I put it in the trailer, and I'm going to put on the screen right here, there. That's how much boost it had when I drove it. So that's how much we're going to have on the dyno. No nitrous. We're going to do it on slicks. Some people say that helps. I'll do a back-to-back later at some point. We'll see if slicks versus hard tire matters on the dyno. This thing's low power. I'm already going to tell you now, any guess that you've already put in the comments is too high. So keep that in mind. When people are talking about 700-800 horsepower 2.3s, that is not this one. So keep that in mind. That's as much hint as I'm going to give you. The boost is here again, and we're just going to see what it makes. You put your best guess in the comments. I will screenshot whoever's the closest, and before I post the video, I'll check it right to that minute Whoever's the closest, I'm going to send a t-shirt to. We'll figure all that stuff out when we get there. If there's a tie, I have no idea. Maybe we'll just cut it in half. I'll send a half. Maybe we can do that. Save on shipping. Do it that way. Right now, put your guess in the comments. And how much horsepower do you think it's going to be? Mustang dyno. It's not a high reading dyno, okay? This much boost, no nitrous, and not any kind of crazy special tune. Oh, shoot. I forgot. In the tools, probably another super important thing. After you've got extra fuel and you've got your timing light, well, for this thing, laptop, I'm pretty good about taking it with me. I promised I would not take the new laptop in the car, so we're not going to do that. And we'll get to the laptop side of it when we get to the dyno. But, yeah, no nitrous. That's probably the main thing. Nothing crazy. We're just going to roll it around on the dyno, see what falls off, and that's pretty much going to be it. Somebody's going to get a shirt, or 2 people are going to get half a shirt. All right, if you got questions about this, I'll do my best to get them in this video. You can put your comments, questions in, but if I don't respond or if I miss it, make sure you add it to the dyno video and I will try to get it in that one. But that's pretty much it for this one. It's just about time to make some noise and burn some really expensive fuel for no reason on a dyno that doesn't move. But that's it. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye.